Hello, Internet Capital family, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 6 of our YouTube stream. Once again, we're in different locations. I'm still in Bloomington, Indiana, and Benjo, welcome. How are you doing today? And you are?
I'm in Pittsburgh. Go Steelers. Justin
Let's
Fields, Russell
go.
Wilson, dynamic duo, two quarterback system. Going to the Super Bowl this year. Easy
Here we
money.
go, baby. Here we
Easy.
go.
Yeah, feeling good in Pittsburgh though. Just played some tennis. Ready to talk crypto though.
Sounds good. Well, before we get started, a little bit of a host chat time. I wanted to let you know and our audience know that for the past week, I've upped my protein intake and I feel great. I feel great. So out there, make sure you take care of your body. Uh, I'm a little old to start doing this, but it's really helping me. So that's my health tip of the week. Ben, back to you.
Protein guy. I like it. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. Happy about the protein. We have a lot to talk about though in terms of crypto. Maybe
Yes.
protein will slip its way in there again. But we're going to talk about the markets. Bitcoin down week, huge outflows. We're going to get in that in a second. Ethereum ETF updates. I'm pretty bullish. We're going to talk about
Big.
that. I'm always bullish though, so we got that. Kraken free money glitch. Some of you might have heard about this. Pretty interesting stuff. One of the top auditors in the space doing some shady stuff. We're going to get into that. DJT coin, Donald Trump's official coin, maybe Baron. Who knows? Martin Shkreli involved. Very interesting stuff. Last but not least, some airdrops that the Grand Tonto wants to talk about. But I think we got some good stuff going on. You ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Ready to go. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I'm going to share my screen here. We're just going to take a look at the charts like usual. Oh, and we're going to break it down differently now. Whenever we're looking at the charts for Bitcoin and ETH, we're going to talk about the happenings for each of the respective coins at that time. So we're going to go over all the Bitcoin news with the chart, all the ETH news with the chart, and then go from there. Because every week there's something going on. One of the things this week, actually, to get it started, is that Michael Saylor, no surprise, bought more Bitcoin. You know about Saylor, right? The Grand Tonto?
Yes, I do know about Sailor. He's more in
Yeah.
my age group.
Yeah, he was his company MicroStrategy was like a business analytics type of company, but now it's just completely they've leveraged long Bitcoin and hold it on the company's balance sheet, and it's working pretty well. But yeah, he's MIT guy, I think too, maybe.
Yeah, I do not know that.
Yeah.
While you're pulling this up, speaking of high academics, we've not heard from Fred this week, so we can just get that part out of the way already.
Yeah, nothing from Fred. Maybe we'll
No.
keep tweeting at him. Here we
Yeah.
go. Here's a Bitcoin chart. We defaulted to the monthly candles, so let's go with that this week because I think that's
All
kind of
right.
interesting. Any thoughts on the chart? We got some weird patterns. We had this negative engulfing candlestick right here, kind of retrace that entire candle up. Now we're just sitting in the same range, a little bit of a down month so far, 8 days left. How are you feeling about the markets generally? Would you be buying here? Are you bullish? A lot of discussion on timeline.
Yeah, so I'm bullish on a longer time frame. I think possibly Bitcoin maybe has run its course until we get lower interest rates, things like that, macroscopic factors. Things like sailor buying. What if a sovereign wealth fund decided to buy Bitcoin? All of these kind of macroscopic events. You can do the technical analysis if you want. I really don't know how to do that, but I would wait on Bitcoin for some more macroscopic events before it goes, to significantly higher.
I agree. I think, and we've had some takes that we're going to show on here from crypto Twitter traders, but everyone seems to think it's ETH's turn to lead the market. And I tend to agree. And this is usually how it works in previous cycles. Bitcoin will run at the beginning, ETH will run, and then eventually alts will run. And obviously, alts are down terrible. But it is shaping up that ETH has a nice runway to get going, reach all time highs and beyond. And I think Bitcoin kind of chopped throughout that whole process before we see its
Yeah,
next up. So I agree with you. And here's the weekly chart I pulled up. Still in the same range for a few
yeah.
months. But just talk about the news. I'll throw some news items at you and you give me your
Okay,
reaction. How's that sound?
okay. Sounds good.
Cool. All right. ETF outflows every single day this week, and they totaled $900 million over these previous 5 days. Any takes there?
Not to be surprised, the normal TradFi stock market's booming. That's where that money's going.
Fair. I agree. Next. The German government is starting to sell off its stockpile of over 50,000 Bitcoin, amounting to $3 billion. This was seized from the operators of a movie piracy website. And according to Arkham data, they've been moving these Bitcoins to different exchanges, Kraken, Bybit, I believe, and they started selling. Any thoughts here?
They probably need the money. I think they're thinking too short term. They should hold that on their balance sheet as long as possible.
Completely agree. I think in a few years' time, whenever sovereigns start adding more Bitcoin to protect their balance sheets,
Yeah,
their treasuries, as fiat keeps being devalued and they need something back in their country, that's going to look like a pretty bad move. So
very.
we'll see about that. Next, here's our guy, Michael Saylor. MicroStrategy acquires 11,931 Bitcoin for $785 million. And to give you an overview of what this guy does, so what he's been doing recently, at least, he was funding the purchases, at least initially, through cash on MicroStrategy's balance sheet, but he ran out of cash at some point because he only holds Bitcoin now. But he funded this through a private offering of convertible senior notes with a 2.5% coupon. So this is debt that can be converted into equity on some terms. So this is what he's doing. So he's essentially levered long on Bitcoin through the MicroStrategy company. And some analysts are saying this is actually, in some ways, better than just buying the ETF, buying MicroStrategy, because of this levered aspect. So I'm not really into the details here, but we can do a deeper dive if you guys want. And I think that's an interesting play to keep your eye on if you're interested in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm trying to think out about why that would be better. And maybe it's better because you get very, very low funding rates to buy leveraged Bitcoin. So maybe that's what they're betting on. But yeah, I don't really know either.
Yeah, it's like a sort of like a leveraged ETF, perhaps, on Bitcoin to some extent. I don't know exactly the specifics about how this works with if they're giving dividend distributions or how any of this works, but definitely an interesting thing to keep your eye on. So Sailor's at it again. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Last thing, Australia's largest stock exchange finally started offering the Bitcoin ETF. Don't know how much volume or interest is coming out of Australia. I don't think they have the most robust capital markets, but interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, no comment. I think wider's better.
Yeah. Shout out to Anthony Sassano. You
No.
seen him on
Should
Twitter?
I?
ETH Megabull. You might want to know him. Yeah, but
Okay.
he's from Australia, which is why I shout him out. I
Huh.
really got to figure out how to share the TradingView app on here because it wasn't letting me, and I keep getting ad pop-ups on the mobile app if I don't log in.
Gotcha.
So moving on to ETH, here we got the weekly candle chart, fourth straight week of down. Obviously, this is Saturday. We got a little bit left to recover this candle, sitting at $3,500 after losing about 3.36% this week, where we opened at $3,622. Any thoughts on ETH before we get into the news?
So a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I kind of hold Bitcoin and ETH about equally, but I'm much more bullish on ETH right now because they do have some macroscopic tailwinds behind them. The ETF is going to come out here in the next, well, I think possibly as soon as next 10 days. I think my date was July or the end of June. So that's definitely a tailwind. They will benefit from all of the macroscopic factors like reduced interest rates, things like that. Also, just doing some study this week, it seems like the narrative to TradFi about what ETH is becoming more solid. You can fill in the details, but essentially the ability to describe ETH as an asset in the traditional TradFi sense, as well as a tool in the traditional TradFi sense in terms of things like a replacement to Swift and to other type of settlement layers is very powerful. And the guys on Wall Street understand that. They know that. They control the money. If they understand it, they'll use it. So both the infrastructure part of Ethereum as well as the asset part of Ethereum, I think, is becoming more and more understood, and that's nothing but good in the long term.
Yeah, 100% agree. I would say a few things here. The narratives that mainstream has latched onto have been Ethereum as the decentralized open source app store, serving as a
Hmm.
competitor to kind of the centralized Apples, Amazons of the world. So that's one that has been getting some attention on Bloomberg, on these mainstream sites. That's an interesting one. And actually, just yesterday, I saw an article from analysts at S&P Global Ratings saying that restaking could be an internet bond, which is really interesting because restaking is kind of this crypto native mechanism, pretty new technology that obviously with Eigenlayer deploying actively validated services just within the last few months is very new. So the fact
Hmm.
that these TradFi guys are aware of this and applying the internet bond title, that's the words they use, to restaking is really impressive. So I think as we continue to get the ETF, it's going to be traded in traditional capital markets. They're going to have to pay attention to it and pay attention to crypto markets. And all of these analogies from the App Store to internet bond to deflationary money to world computer, all of these things will be explored. So I think that's good.
Yeah, so Ben, that also means that, there's talk of the risk-free rate is Ethereum staking. And now
Mm-hmm.
the internet bond is Ethereum restaking, which is a little too complicated to get into here. But, all of these similarities between the real market that people already understand can be identified in the Ethereum ecosystem, and that's nothing but good.
Yeah, 100%. This is the reference rate idea that we talked about a few weeks back. I think that's a
Hmm.
huge onboarder for DeFi. And it actually looks like the crypto markets right now are sick and tired of coins without fundamentals that aren't generating
Yeah.
cash flow, that don't have realistic users. So if these are kind of DeFi tokens, the ones that do have these cash flows, I'm thinking Maker, I'm thinking Synthetics, I'm thinking projects like this. And if we have the reference rate established for TradFi, from ETH staking, that will be an easy tool for them to use to value these other tokens. So extremely bullish on that whole narrative, something to keep your eye on moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love it that we're moving towards traditional financial tools to value these things. I think that's nothing but a good thing. It brings more people on board, brings more people, probably my age group on board that probably in general have more money to invest, which drives the market up.
That's what I was going to say. You guys have all the money. So if we can use your terminology to get your friends in here, that's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, on the topic of Ethereum news, there were some big developments this week. First, the SEC is closing its investigation into Ethereum, Ethereum 2.0, and Consensus, the company. So, to give you an overview of this, Ethereum development company Consensus announced Tuesday with this tweet that we're showing on the screen that the SEC is closing its investigation into them. And this investigation was initiated after the merge when Ethereum became a proof of stake chain. So it was centered around whether ETH's staking consensus mechanism would make it a security. So what Consensus did following the ETF approval, they sent a letter to the SEC saying, you just said this is not a security. You implied that because you approved the ETF. So
Yep.
we expect you to drop this lawsuit. Did do it, and that is some huge news. And the other thing to note here is that this happened same week, earlier this week, that the SEC's head of crypto enforcement stepped down after 9 years. So this is more evidence of the tides turning on crypto, the SEC becoming more lax in terms of how they're treating at least Ethereum. So any thoughts on that? I think this is huge news.
Yeah, I mean, I think this goes back a little bit to something I saw on one of my discords. Those are international discords, people from everywhere. And a comment was, in the US, they let you do things and then they fix it when it blows up. Certainly I don't want it to blow up, crypto to blow up in the US, but removing these regulations or the threat of regulations clearly is a good thing for the growth of the industry. I just hope that everyone's a responsible steward for that, what's been given to us. And, we use that wisely and don't let something blow up because there isn't regulation, at least for a while.
Yeah, I think it's been proven over time that the most regulated industries tend to have the least amount of innovation and do the worst. So
Hmm.
I think even if things do blow up, that's bound to happen. That's the price you pay for freedom, for in this
Yeah.
democratic system that we have. So it's bound to happen. But I think the good news here is that the SEC and the regulatory arms of the United States government have stopped going after crypto development companies for just trying to innovate. So Consensus, for
Yeah.
example, develops MetaMask, develops the Ethereum core protocol in some respects. They have node RPC providers and through Infura and all kinds of things. But they were coming after them because they were involved in this whole ecosystem, saying that they were offering securities because of MetaMask swaps and things like this. I think it's
Hmm.
great that that pressure will be toned down a bit. And it's the right thing. It's the correct call, especially here in America, the precedent that we have for innovation, and that was being squashed previously. So I think this is really, in my mind, the final nail in the coffin that says they're changing their tune about how they're going to enforce the space.
Yeah, I agree with that. And on the note of it's going to blow up because I'm sure there's some people out there that say, oh, it can't blow up. You got to protect the people. Blah 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 blah. Well, let's just remember that 16 years ago in 2008, what blew up was the mortgage-backed securities market, and mortgages and that have been around forever. And basically, those were able to go kaboom and almost bring down the industry. And before that, in the 70s, inflation went through the roof. So there are all these things that happen that here in the U.S. that have happened that haven't been great. Um, what tends to then happen is regulation happens and winds things in a way that still lets innovation happen, but does protect from these absolute crazy black swan type events. So that will happen. Don't say, I don't want to hear at that point, well, we should have regulated beforehand because there's example after example of what we did in the financial industry and things generally work out okay.
100%. And the last note on this is that I would say this whole notion of I know better, the government knows better, this paternalistic tone that they use to tell technologists, to tell free people in this country with the right to act upon their own volition, that they can't use this technology, that they can't build things, that people can't access an airdrop, they can't access this technology that's providing them opportunity because there's risk. It's this very self-important
Yeah.
I know better type of thing, and that is completely against the ethos of the entire country and what has been proven to drive innovation and make people's lives better. So that's my final comment there.
Yeah. Ben, this is a good time to segue into something I just saw, and I'm not going to talk much about this, but the California state legislature is thinking about imposing bans on AI research, which seems crazy. That will drive thousands and thousands of good paying tech jobs at the leading edge of a worldwide technology out of California. And that seems crazy. Yeah, they have to be responsible, but the government banning AI, I can't understand that. Like, since when did anyone in the government have any clue about AI? So that just, I hope that doesn't go through for the sake of kind of the big picture. Be really bad for California, I think, if it did.
100% agree. That just is kind of along the same tone of
Yeah.
overregulation, overzealous regulators and politicians thinking that they know better and really intruding into industries where they don't know anything about it and then jeopardizing the health, the progress, the development of an entire space. So keep an eye on that. Don't want to dive into that
Yep.
too much. This is the type
No,
of thing that we need to be wary of as an industry. And hopefully for us, it's the tides are turning.
absolutely.
One last thing here that we're two last things. One is that the updated S1s from all the asset
Mhm.
managers who are going to offer the ETF have been submitted this week with some of them with their fee amount. So Franklin Templeton, Galaxy, 21 Shares, Grayscale, VanEck, Invesco, Bitwise, Fidelity all filed this week or earlier, and only Franklin Templeton and VanEck have submitted their fee amounts, which are 19 basis points and 20 basis points respectively. Presumably, the others are waiting for BlackRock to submit their fee to determine what they want to offer because they're the king. You got to beat them out. But this all happened this week. This means we're on track for the ETH ETF launch, and according to the Bloomberg boys, that is estimated for July 2nd still. So we're well on our way.
That's great. And this is
Yeah,
just pushing papers, right? There's like the exchanges are ready to go. I'm sure the companies have the infrastructure set up. This is just a bunch of paperwork.
100%. Yes. And actually, I forgot about this. We already have TV commercials for the ETH ETF. You want to see
Really?
the one?
Can
Did you see
Yeah, can you
this?
pull this up?
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to hear. Wait,
Big finance. You okay?
I'm gonna start this over.
Big finance. You okay? You look really tired. Just calling it a day. But it's 4 p.m. Yeah, and I've been working nonstop since 9:30 this morning, so. 9:30? You don't say. Yep. You want a little shut-eye too if you've been moving billions around the world. Well, actually I do. You know, stablecoins, NFTs, loans. People can access me 24/7. What? But look, everyone's different. You should get your rest. You've had a long day. Well, I have, haven't I? Definitely. You'll get after it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. Monday. You'll get after it again on Monday. Monday.
Pretty good, huh?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That is
Bitwise.
awesome.
Yep. So the young guy there was Ethereum. The older guy was TradFi. Kind of just alluding to the fact that we have a 24/7 global financial system that can be built on Ethereum. Great commercial that I think normal people can relate to. Great job. I'm looking forward to seeing more of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. One last thing here too that I wanted to mention is that Hashdex they offer financial products as well. I don't know. I suppose they're an asset manager, a crypto native one, but they filed for a combined spot Bitcoin and ETH ETF. So it'll be market cap weighted. So at present, that is about 70% Bitcoin, 30% ETH. And hopefully these will be launched sometime by the end of the year. The Bloomberg guys are estimating early 2025, so we'd have to wait a little bit. But as the previous process went, the SEC has to first approve the 19B-4 filings before the S1s, so we still have a little bit. But I thought this was interesting too.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be able to buy one ETF to have exposure to the two largest assets.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing here too is that in Van X Ethereum price prediction that we talked about last week, the 22,000 by 2030, they did an analysis on different portfolios with varying amounts of Bitcoin and ETH, and adding market cap weighted ETH to a Bitcoin only portfolio actually increases the Sharpe ratio, meaning that risk adjusted, you're getting better returns by adding ETH to your crypto portfolio. So for traditional asset managers, this is what you do. This is how you explain your allocation through your Sharpe ratios, through your returns. If you're talking you're talking to your investors and Ethereum outperforms and you don't have Ethereum in there, and then they look at it and say this had a higher historical Sharpe ratio, you're in trouble. So that's good news.
Absolutely. No, that's all good stuff. That's what we like to see.
Yeah. Last thing here, I wanted to look at the infamous ETH Bitcoin chart. You ever spend some time looking at this?
Yes, I did. In fact, I started looking at that when our friend Mr. Cesario, first name please,
Steven Cesaro. Yep.
Steven Cesaro brought this up and kind of reweighted my portfolio more towards ETH when he mentioned that this ratio is going to start going back up. And I believe this week, didn't he call the bottom? I think he called the bottom on this ratio.
Yeah, he did. We'll pull up a tweet from him on here, but essentially we have a few things. So ETH, obviously, we reached some pretty high highs in 2018 and 2017 previously. Then throughout our last cycle, we were really ranging about in this 0.06 range, and we're well below that at the 0.05 range. So even if the market as a whole doesn't move and this just returns to its ratio because ETH gets the ETF, all these other catalysts we've talked about, ETH stands to benefit. So that's something people keep a close eye on to see where we are in the cycle and how ETH's doing. But here's Steven's tweet. The era of Bitcoin dominance is over. All hail the era of ETH dominance. Orange coin, Bitcoin, ETH killers, and FDVC scams. I believe that's fully diluted valuation. I don't know what the C is, but it probably means coin. What's that?
It probably means coin.
FDVC? Why would that mean coin?
Fully diluted value coin scams.
Oh, okay. Oh, the C. Yeah, the C
Yeah,
might. I think it's just talking about low float, high fully diluted valuation, like
yeah,
5% of the are
yeah.
floating. Yeah. Okay, but they're saying these scams will now face brutal drawdowns versus the one true king. I love the bullishness. Make sure you are positioned accordingly. And he has these little charts here. So this is ETH market cap dominance. He's drawn some squigglies, some TA. So if you guys want to check this out, I'll link it. I'm not going to try to explain the squigglies. Market cap Bitcoin dominance, entering a key zone here. He says we go down. Others versus ETH. Yeah, altcoins, as we discussed, have been getting
Ugh.
absolutely obliterated versus ETH. I'm pretty sure Arbitrum, the ARB token, is not just at an all-time low versus ETH. It's at a complete all-time low, which is nuts. It launched in the middle of in a bear market.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, my whole altcoin portfolio stinks. Has been awful. Awful.
Well, it's like a very small allocation as
It
a
is.
percentage of your portfolio, at least. So
Yes.
could be worse. But
Yes.
yeah, this is Steven's take. I'm with him here. We're ETH mega bulls at the moment. I'm about fully allocated for my ETH position. I expect some moves over the coming months. I think you are as well or close to it. So
Yep.
follow Steven, watch his commentary for TA. Keep watching the ETH ETF developments, watch demand, watch the fees that are coming out from the different asset managers, and that'll tell us a lot over the coming months. But that's all I really wanted to look at for the market section. Any last thoughts?
Nope. We're ready to go.
Cool. Okay, so the other thing, a lot of things happened this week, but the one we're going to start
Okay.
with is the Kraken free money glitch. So, well-known crypto security firm Certic exploited an extremely critical bug in Kraken's codebase that allowed them to artificially inflate the balances that they had on the exchange. So they could say they were depositing crypto, not actually finish the deposit. Then the number in their account would go up on Kraken, and then they could withdraw the amount that was in their account. So you basically print free money. And Kraken
That seems
received
like a pretty big problem.
yeah, it's a very critical bug. The one thing they did say, you can't directly steal user funds from obtaining, let's say, private keys that they had in custody or something like
Yeah.
that. That's probably the only thing that would be worse, but this is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So Kraken received a bug bounty alert on June 10th and patched it within an hour. And upon analysis, they found that 3 accounts had exploited the bug. One was KYC'd to an individual that claimed to be a security researcher. And this person initially found the bug first and credited just $4 to their account. And then they allegedly disclosed the bug to their colleagues, who ultimately withdrew $3 million using this glitch on Kraken over the coming days. And the original bug bounty report that this guy submitted did not disclose all of this information. So they contacted this guy and the security researchers at Certec to confirm the details. And Kraken requested a full account of all these activities, and they wanted to arrange the return of the funds. So they had a series of meetings where the researchers refused and demanded that they receive more money commensurate with the severity of the bug. And this is kind of the tweet that we have here is from the head of security at Kraken explaining what happened. But basically, he says that they had a bug bounty program for 10 years at Kraken, and that it's run internally and is fully staffed, and it's a very big part of the exchange. And they have some rules for the program. 1, do not exploit more than you need in order to prove the vulnerability. So I think the $4 would have done it, but Certec did 3 million. 2, show your work, which they did not do. They did not disclose all the information as previously said. And 3, what you extract, you return immediately. And Certec did not do any of this, and then they were requesting more money. So in this tweet,
It's called blackmail.
Kraken chief security. It is. It was extortion.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And he said that they were treating it as a criminal case and are coordinating with law enforcement agencies about it. So I don't know the current state of this, but this happened this week, and this is pretty frightening because Certic is one of the most notable, I'm not sure best, but most notable auditing firms in the space, and they audit lots of different protocols. So some people were thinking and seriously considering that they would audit protocols, find bugs, not disclose them, and then go and hack them after. That's just an allegation,
Wow.
no proof. But this happened this week. That was pretty bad behavior on Certic. Any thoughts here?
I think Surtech should be out of business within the year. Like who would hire them now? I mean, yes, they found the bug, but then they sort of acted like jerks, not returning the money. First off, probably if they wouldn't have got caught, they wouldn't have. And then if there's a hint of impropriety on companies like this, why use them? It seems like the space is robust enough. There are other options now.
Yeah, we'll see. Not a good look for sure. I think they got a lot of
No.
backlash for this, but that's what it seemed like. This is a timeline that Certic themselves posted, trying to frame their argument. But even right here, they said that deposit tests with a small amount of 200 Matic, then they withdrawed for a test over 90,000, and then another larger amount over 500,000 Matic. So seems a little excessive, and yeah, did not seem necessary. We'll see what happens here, but that was a big news story this week.
Yeah. Hey, while you're drinking there,
Okay.
Ben, we don't have sponsors, but I just want to give shout outs to things I like, just because I like them. The first one is Olipop. I'm a big Olipop fan, particularly cream soda and orange squeeze. Very, very good. Also, they're very healthy sodas for you. Next, I want to give a shout out to my favorite coffee house in the world, Inkwell Cafe in Bloomington, Indiana. If you go to Inkwell, you must get the chorizo scramble and a hot whole milk latte in the mug, not to go cup, in the mug. All right. Just wanted to give those folks a shout out as some of my faves.
Fair enough. I like that. You do have some favorite things, and I'm happy. Maybe you'll get them to sponsor us. Who knows?
Yeah,
Just
we're
keep
gonna
shouting.
tag. Yeah, I don't know about Inkwell, but maybe Olipop can be the official probiotic cola sponsor, a new kind of soda of Internet Capital. I like that idea.
It's like crypto's a new kind of money, a new kind of financial system, a new kind of
Yeah.
soda. Goes together.
Oh, there you go.
That's
I
our
love
pitch.
it. I love that.
I can sell them, guys. If you hit up Olipop, tweet at them, message them, whatever, say that you want us to be sponsored.
Like some gear, maybe. We'll start with just gear.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Next up on the list, though, is the DJT coin. So there's too much going on here to really follow closely. So I'm going to give a quick overview from someone I found on Twitter. But the basic premise is that Barron Trump, Donald Trump's, is it his son or is it his
Yes.
grandson?
Son.
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 Donald Trump's son, Barron Trump, and Martin Shkreli, the infamous pharmaceutical hedge fund bro who went to prison for jacking up the price of different medicines and all kinds of shady stuff, really sketchy guy, teamed up to insinuate that Trump was launching an official token called DJT, and then a bunch of stuff happened. There were bets, $100 million bets made between Martin Shkreli and an infamous crypto trader named GCR, and it got crazy, but I'm just going to read the summary here, and you can give your
Okay.
thoughts up.
All right.
So, Solana meme coin DJT is taking the market by storm on rumors that it's the official token for the Trump campaign. The rumor started from this post by Pirate Wires, though it lacks any substantial evidence. Do you know what Pirate Wires is, by the way?
No, but it sounds like I don't know. No, I have no idea.
No, it's like legit. It's not.
Oh,
It's a very
okay.
large newsletter
Really?
from Mike Solana about not really crypto native. It's more so about politics and things like this. So it's
Wait,
interesting.
the guy's name is
Whatever.
Mike Solana?
Yeah, that is just a coincidence. This guy's not like a crypto guy, really. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
adding to the confusion, Pirate Wire's editor-in-chief Mike Solana and CMO at Founder Fund followed up, clarifying that while they didn't speak with Trump directly, they are just reporting what they know via sources. So they tweeted out that this was his official coin. They were the first one, not
Yeah.
crypto native, very random thing. Meanwhile, other PolyFi, political finance token, that's so stupid, tokens are down double digits, showing you how quickly the attention economy can move on mere rumors. Do I think the rumor is true? No. Is it possible? Yes. Nothing surprises me anymore. And this is from this guy giving his take. This was on Tuesday. That was the latest update. That was on Tuesday. And This next update was on Wednesday. So the DJT plot has thickened big time. Before digging into the details, some key events from the last 24 hours. 8:24 p.m. Arkham posts a $150,000 bounty for figuring out who the DJT creator was. Zach XBT, a very prominent crypto on-chain investigator, replies to Arkham, submitting his bounty. 11:57, Martin Shkreli panic DMs Zach XBT. 12:27 a.m., Martin Shkreli hosts X Spaces revealing he was the creator of the coin. Those are the main hits, but there's a lot more to unpack here. Martin is on parole and prohibited from finance-related things. DJT Insider caught dumping $832,000 of DJT for USDC. Zach XBT identifies another insider from Telegram, CWR. CWR claims his dad was the pilot for Epstein. I didn't know that. 5, Barron Trump allegedly told Andrew Tate to ape in. Meanwhile, top polymarket bettors GCR and Axe want to bet $200 million against Martin Shkreli that DJT is not real, meaning it's from Trump himself. So that was on Wednesday. Another update today. The DJT meme coin saga continues, and it's hard to know who or what to believe at this point. 3 key events transpired since yesterday. Zach XBT won the 150K bounty, so they believed him because he revealed that Shkreli was the creator, I guess, plausibly. 2, Shkreli went on X Spaces and shared countless details surrounding his and Barron's creation of the coin. 3, Roger Stone, Trump's one of Trump's political advisors. You know this guy?
Yeah, he's got indicted or something 2 years ago.
Very close with Trump himself, like one of his close advisors, tweeted that Trump and Barron are not involved in any way, with DJT contradicting everything above. While I want to believe official sources, Roger Stone, the level of detail Martin provided on X Spaces was pretty compelling. His involvement with Barron and his friend Bo Ludon, who holds the keys and the script they used to generate it, how Barron and DJT Jr. were racing to launch a meme coin, how he feels like a father figure to Barron, how he thinks Barron could become president one day. Martin even gave out his Instagram password to 2 different parties so that they could verify all DMs between him and Barron Trump. Still waiting on those results. Anyway, I'm not sure what to believe, but this seems a plausible theory. If you are bored today, listen to that X Spaces recording. Yeah. That all happened. Stuff's getting crazy. What do you think about that?
Okay. The first thing I think is, Melania, why is your son interacting with a 40-some-year-old convicted felon? I mean, I know teenagers will be teenagers, but it seems like someone, Secret Service maybe, someone might want to say, hey, Barron, you can't hang out with Martin Shkreli. Second, Martin Shkreli seems like he has something wrong with him. Why is he doing this with some kid?
Yeah.
I mean, and I've read some of the stuff about him. He seems like a whack job. So whatever. The Roger Stone twist just pulls this all together as pure craziness. Like, we have a 17-year-old kid, a convicted felon who is also a womanizer, evidently, and Roger Stone, who is a mouthpiece for Trump, all in the same sphere. This is very typical crypto, it seems to me. I have no other thoughts. I don't know how to wrap my mind around any of this.
Yeah, that's a fair reaction. I think this does demonstrate the absurdity of crypto because this is a fairly interesting story, but it's just one of the hundreds you get on a month-to-month basis. Yeah. But this one is interesting for all the reasons you said, and that the crossover between like politics and mainstream interest in politics is the weirdest thing, in crypto is becoming increasingly relevant to people, which is very strange. And part of it is because Trump and the campaign has gotten crypto friendly over the last few months. I don't think he liked crypto before, but then figured out that the Dems were ruining it and he could run on this platform. And it actually is somewhat believable that Trump himself would launch a coin, which is something in and of itself. But wild stuff. I don't really have any thoughts other than what you said, so I think we can move on. I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, absolutely. Move on.
Cool.
As quickly as possible, get away from this.
Yeah, that was wild. I think, all right, one last thought too. I think this type of stuff is really what, whenever you're talking to normal people and you talk about crypto, they just think the whole thing's a scam, partially because the last thing most people know is still SBF and FTX. They thought the whole thing ended back then. But then whenever things do pop up in the mainstream, it's always this. No one is explaining to people that this can be used as the back-end infrastructure to a financial system because our infrastructure was built so long ago, and this is better for all these reasons because it's global, because there's instant settlement, because it's cheaper to send remittances, because you can do more things, and it's interoperable, it's like the internet, it's open, all of those things. Instead, they hear that Donald Trump's son and Martin Shkreli, the pharma bro who scammed everyone, launched the coin and rugged it. So that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my last thought. Hopefully we can move another direction, but this is just how things are for now.
Let's move on.
Okay. Next thing that we have, really just some other basic news. I guess let's do airdrops. I don't know anything about these.
Okay.
You can give Eigenlayer, Layer 0, Blast, all of them, any of them.
All right, so in episode 1, we kind of took a little bit of shot at Eigenlayer about the whole craziness associated with being able to claim and VPN use and stuff like that. I was able to claim my second, I guess it was season 1, phase 2 airdrop, no problem. In talking with some of the smart guys and some of the smart discords online, it looks like the phase 1 airdrop is about 58, 59 EL points to each eigen you get. So you guys might want to check your personal allocations there. Keep in mind that this snapshot was March 15th. So they're 3 months behind basically, and it was hard for me to figure out what the hell I had on March 15th, but went back, looked it up, and it looks like what I got was about right. Keep in mind also there's a 7-day withdrawal for your eigen, and I think it's still like locked to your wallet for a month or two from here. So it's not trading actively yet, although on whales it's somewhere between $3 and $4 last time I checked. So that's eigen. Layer 0 airdrop also, I didn't really farm that at all, but I got some because I used some of their bridges. That was fine. They did require a donation. I don't even think they called it an airdrop. People were pissed about that, but in some jurisdictions and possibly even in the U.S., that donation may turn that income from ordinary income into capital gains income. So that may be a very small price to pay. I think it was 10 cents per zero, or whatever they're calling their token, Layer 0 token. Which seems not too bad. And I don't know what that token was trading at, but it was somewhere over $1 at last I thought. The big airdrop that's coming up is Blast, and that's supposed to be Monday. And again, according to some of the smart guys and some of the private discords I'm on, that has kind of been chaos. Kind of stepping back, I used Blast for a while, but really it was just felt wrong. It's like a cult of personality for this Pac-Man guy who I understand is like important some reason. But to me, there was too much like friends and family and insiders and all this stuff associated with who was getting the discretionary Blast gold points. So whatever, I didn't like it. I got out of it. And now basically there is a factor of 100 discrepancy in what the total number of tokens are. And at least as of yesterday at some point, the mods weren't answering any questions. So some people bought at X price, and literally 10 minutes later, the price was 1/100th that amount on these forward-looking pre-market sites. So it's been sort of chaos on that front. It still could turn out to be a decent airdrop if you were smart in how you played it and went to the right friends and family apps that Pac-Man liked. But it's certainly not been a smooth process. So that's all the airdrop news I have this week. There's some stuff coming up in the next probably 2 weeks on smaller protocols that I use that I will give some insight on when that happens. But those are sort of the big guys going on in the past week.
Nice. Yeah, that's interesting to hear. I did not really farm any of these. I checked layer zero. I did not get any allocation. I guess I
Mm.
know Stargate uses their technology. I don't know what
Mm.
other do, but I don't really use those. The
Yeah.
bridges I use are Orbiter and Hop, neither of which use layer zero technology. Didn't get any blast. I never used. My capital was tied up in ZK Sync mostly in mode. Eigenlayer,
Yeah.
not sure. So I was really on the periphery of this whole thing. But just to see the reactions from people on these and the ZK Sync airdrops are dead, honestly, because no project's going to do them because it doesn't turn out well ever. People are just angry, something goes wrong, and there's better ways to get users. And people are saying that they should probably move on to different distribution models again instead of airdrops because it doesn't turn out well for anyone.
Yeah. So one model that I've been pushing all along and that I'm doing is staking, using these airdrops to stake. And, here in another probably month or two, I'll have some more data, but that's going to be my way to play these things going forward. I'm in these protocols right now to farm them, to get the tokens, to stake the tokens, to hopefully get the revenue if these protocols survive. Now, 1 in 10 or 9 in 10 won't, 1 in 10 will, and you hope that 1 in 10 becomes Uniswap and generates $1 billion in revenue every month or every week or every year. Um, that's more of a traditional finance model. I'll call the first model the e-beggar model, where everyone does these things, expects something for nothing, then gripes and gripes and gripes and hopes the protocol changes their mind. I just as soon all those people leave crypto and go do something else because it gets in the way of real people, whether sophisticated people or basic people that want to invest, getting involved. It just muddies the waters. Um, so,
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying like I do like your philosophy of staking once you get the airdrops. I think that is a good thing to do in most cases and to hold, and especially if you're a fan of the protocol, participate in a positive sum way. But I think what I'm saying is that a lot of projects are going to stop doing airdrops because of this negative sum
mm,
behavior, this you call it the e-beggar model, but it's people not really adding utility to the protocol, to the network, and then ruining the projects, bad mouthing it, leaving mercenary capital whenever the token is launched. It just is not worth it for projects. And there's better models to reward actual users or people with capital who can actually contribute to the long term. So I think we're seeing an end to the golden era of airdrops. Not to say there won't be more because there will, but there's just different models that projects could use, such as like liquidity mining, for example. Whenever you just distribute tokens as boosted rewards for providing liquidity, that in itself could be a token distribution model from the very beginning. You could say you're
yeah,
not getting any tokens. You just say 5% APY to everyone who provides tokens here, and people complain like the whales will get all the tokens there. Well, then make them lock it up and maybe do some other things on top of that. But there's different ways to do token distribution, is all I'm saying. And I think airdrops have had negative outcomes recently, so projects aren't going to be incentivized to do them.
yeah. And I don't get the whole like negativity towards the whales. Like all of you guys out there need to understand that there's not one protocol that wants 100,000 people investing $10. They don't want that. In fact, they'd rather have none of you because you cause so many problems and there's so many issues. These protocols want 100 people that have $1,000 or 1,000 people with $1,000 or some number of people with more money because they tend to be more reasonable. They're not griping and bitching and moaning all the time. And the time it takes to service one person with $100,000 versus 100,000 people with $10 is not the same. It's frustrating going into some discords where there's no tranching of the discord or tiering of the discord where you just see when or all these other things over and over and over again. So I hope, Ben, you're right that they do find a way to minimize. Like, I don't really care about the airdrops. I just want to have higher quality people involved in crypto. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I think you're hanging out in the wrong places, to be honest, a little bit too. Like the Discords, I'm sorry, like it's average 85 IQ max. Like it's not It's not good. And that's why you're seeing that. I think generally speaking, the sentiment and the discussion around these things is better on Twitter somewhat, and then even better in smaller groups and certain telegrams if you talk to
Yes.
actual industry participants, researchers, analysts, founders, things like this, it's much better. The problem is whenever you have these open systems and this kind of global network of crypto, you have all these different people of different interests, of different classes, of different abilities who can participate. And then whenever you have to service that many different types of, let's call them
Right.
customers, user base, it's problematic. So you just have to
Yes.
tune out some of that noise, especially the low 85 IQ Discord noise. And I love Discord. Everyone uses Discord. But if you just go on a random project, half of them are bots, half of them aren't contributing anything and just want free money. So I just think they ruined it for
Yes.
everyone, to be honest.
Yes. Well, and that's why, the Discords I'm on are a lot are Zero Land, Ionic, Ironclad, now Aurelius. And some of those have different levels of Discord where not everybody can get in. And that's where you can find true information. And then, like you said, this private Discord, I was just watching two guys that I really respect talk about how to arbitrage and how to play various airdrops coming out, not based on anything but pure finance. And to me, that was really interesting. And I'd like to see more of that in these more open general discords. So anyway, uh, I'm just an old guy saying, get off my yard. But I think in time, all these things will improve.
Yeah, I think we're just really talking about the dichotomy of crypto again. It's like half of it is this hyper gambling attitude, free money, all of this. People aren't really serious. But the problem is that you can make a lot of money playing meme coins, doing these various tactics. The thing is that it's a power law. So the people who are best at it make a lot of money. And then the long tail people just get absolutely wrecked or have no idea what they're doing or aren't serious at all. When if you really dig more into the core aspects of the technology and of crypto that are useful, are interesting, the types of things that you can do with these financial tools and instruments, it's much more interesting and is less frustrating. So that's my thought there.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. And I talked about this with one of the guys on a Discord that this whole Twitter narrative and people seeing what other people claim to have made kind of biases everyone. I have no problem with the good people making the most money. But there are other ways than just don't be in the long tail. Go somewhere where you can have low risk and get higher reward than you would at your local bank. Start there instead of trying to make $1 million when you don't know anything. So, I mean, part of that's on people. Have personal accountability, have responsibility, work hard, don't take shortcuts, all that sort of stuff. Dare to be great, right, Ben? Dare to be great, baby.
Could say that you could, and I
I
think
could.
this also ties into this idea of financial nihilism. That I don't know if you've heard about this, but people talk about this a lot. That young people everywhere are have resorted to gambling. You see gambling statistics, sports betting, crypto, the rise of stocks, rise of meme coins, all of this. Young people are just hyper gambling, hyper risky because they feel like they can't get ahead in the current state. And I think that's a little bit overblown. I think there are people who believe that, but really it's mostly just a lack of accountability or trying to figure things out. But I think that is an interesting thing that plays into it here too. It's really a culture that's risen in the United States over the last 5, 10 years, I would say. And I think it's just reflected in crypto very heavily because there are open markets. It's very tilted towards young users. So you see it show up.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
in any case, let's move on. I can stay on my platform all day, but we don't need that.
Yeah, all right. Just a few more things, really. One is that the CFTC is in probing Jump Crypto. So Jump Crypto is a market making firm. Jump is a market maker in TradFi markets as well as crypto markets, but they're investigating the crypto arm. So the TLDR is Jump has been involved in multiple crypto controversies, including being the largest market maker on FTX, being accused of propping up Terra USD's peg. Actually, not accused. They did do that. It wasn't any spurious activity, but they were the market makers. They were tasked by Terraform Labs, I suppose, to defend the Terra USD peg for Terra Luna. And then third, they injected about 300 million into the Wormhole protocol after it was hacked. And Wormhole's founders were previous Jump employees. So they've been involved in all of these crypto hacks, all these controversies, and now they're being probed by the CFTC. So we'll see what happens there. Any thoughts?
No. No thoughts, except this guy's got a lot of hair. Have you noticed that? That's a lot of hair. Is that just a bad angle?
I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I don't think
All
anything
right.
too interesting, really, but it was just a
Yeah.
probe. So we'll see. That was
All right.
news. Another piece of news, Tether Alloy. So Tether announced the launch of AUSDT, a stablecoin pegged to the US dollar backed by tokenized gold.
Ah,
It's backed by Tether's tokenized gold, XAUT. And so basically, Tether appears to be positioning this Alloy platform as a centralized finance CeFi alternative to money market protocols, lending protocols like Aave and Curve's lending protocol, which allow users to mint stablecoins, the GHO stablecoin and the CRV USD stablecoin, against an over collateralized basket of assets. So basically, Alloy users can mint a USDT by depositing the XAUT tokenized gold to a smart contract and then manage their positions like you can with any lending protocol. And they also tease that Alloy is going to deploy an open platform, which allows users to create over collateralized positions and mint a USDT with a wide range of assets, including potentially yield-bearing tokens, so that they could get the yield on the. So it's basically a CeFi alternative to money markets, and I just thought this was an interesting move because Tether prints money. Basically, their business model right now is they take people's dollars, hold them in a bank account, buy treasuries with them, and they actually buy some other stuff. I know they have some Bitcoin on their balance sheet, but mostly treasuries. Collect all that yield, just give you a token USDT on the blockchain, and then pocket all of the yield from their investments when they really don't have to pay you anything out. It's just creating a token on a blockchain, which is basically free. So that's a good business model. And here it's a little different. Your tokenized gold deposits aren't like I guess they get interest from the stablecoin that they're lending out to you that you mint. But it seems like an interesting move because it doesn't feel like it'll make a dent in their ginormous stablecoin business already. So any thoughts on this?
so I want to back up a little bit for our listeners. So Tether is a stable coin that is collateralized by multiple assets, not just dollars. And there was some controversy on that, but I think Tether's shown that they know what they're doing. It is going to stay pegged. Circle is their competitor, which is fully collateralized by treasuries. So with that in context, I've actually been getting involved, Ben, this week in this whole idea of over collateralized stablecoins and rehypothecation, and I'm sort of interested in it. So I like what they're doing. If they can generate yield from that and take it to the consumers. Bigger picture, though, if that happens, stablecoins, Tether and Circle are already about 13 or 14 as holders of treasuries. They're going to continue to move up that list. And, it's quite possible that they could become the largest buyer of treasuries, or certainly top 5 buyer of treasuries, which I think that could help the dollar. I think it's another avenue for it to keep rates low, which I guess is good for Americans. But I'm always for these simple ways to bring in normal users where they can say, hey, it's backed by gold or backed by treasury. So I think what they're doing is good. I really don't have any idea if I use this, but I'm sure they have a plan.
Yeah, I think they have good distribution just because of the size of the company and kind of their balance sheet that they do have already, and they make a lot of money. So it's an interesting move here, and I guess we'll just have to wait to see how it plays out, how successful they are. Previous attempts at this type of thing, and not sure if they did exactly this, but companies like BlockFi that blew up in the last cycle were doing this sort of lending against crypto assets, and those were managed terribly. But Tether is a gargantuan. They're massive. So them going into this business is something to keep your eye on for sure.
And they are primarily they hold blue chips. They hold treasuries. They hold blue chips. They're not basing their peg on, like the ARB token, for example.
No, they're like if I listened to an interview with their CEO fairly recently, and it's the vast majority is treasuries, and then it's
Hmm.
mostly like Bitcoin, maybe some ETH and a few other things, but still mostly just treasuries.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so thing to keep your eye on. There's been Tether FUD for as long as I've been in crypto and even way before that, but they've continued to grow. They're the biggest stable coin. They're very much used, especially on the Tron blockchain for stablecoin payments in developing countries. So they're huge. They're doing a lot of good things in general. So thing to keep your eye on.
Yeah.
Cool. Last thing then I wanted to bring up this week was that Coinbase International is announcing support for pre-launch trading. So pre-market tokens such as airdrop tokens coming up, like the Blast token, will be able to be traded on Coinbase International, which is really cool. They actually, I believe Coinbase International also offers perpetual futures trading, which is really cool. Hopefully, US regulation continues to relax and we get these products in the United States. But I think this is cool that Coinbase is. It just shows how in tune they are with crypto markets and also traditional markets because they're doing so much on the regulatory front, so much explaining the space, doing custody for the underlying Bitcoin and ETH for these
Hmm.
ETFs. And they're also building Base. They're doing pre-launch trading, which is a very hot product in crypto right now. And just kudos to Coinbase there. I thought this was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this last week, but Coinbase and Robinhood in a kind of not great crypto market are doing very, very well. They seem like they have a plan. They're making moves to execute the plan, and they're just driving the whole space forward to the retail investor side.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Again, this is the topic again. When will we get retail back? Will we get retail back? And Robinhood, I think, is a good index on that. I personally think
Yeah.
that you should buy Robinhood as the proxy for that retail demand because you can pick any random meme coin and there's probably higher upside. But the better bet is that your average friend who's not into crypto, once he does come back, if he does come back, he'll just have on his Robinhood app on his phone, just buy some coins through there. So the Robinhood stock stands to benefit and acts as a well diversified retail play, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's all I had. Any other news you wanted to go over?
No, I think let me look at the notes that I put in earlier this morning. But I think, yeah, we did. I wanted to get in there with sponsors, all that stuff. I love the talk today about Shkreli or whatever the heck the guy's name is. That was good. I think
Mhm.
it's a good show. I think little more news focused this week than before, but this was good. This was good, and folks, we're trying to line up our next interview. We've got some feelers out there, and just so you know, maybe a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, we're shooting for some FTX alpha, some insider FTX alpha. So that's where we're going in the really long term. We'll see if we can pull that off or not.
What alpha would we be getting from our
Is
sources?
that the is
Not the correct
that's
term,
the
I think.
yeah? Cut that part out. Non alpha,
I'm
like
not. I'm not
some.
cutting it out, but it.
You're not cutting it out. That makes me look stupid. How about
Well,
some? How about some inner circle con- knowledge, information, day-to-day life at the compound in Florida, or we're not Florida, in the Bahamas. How about that? How about that?
I think that'd be interesting to people, and we do potentially have sources. Nothing confirmed,
Yeah.
but stay tuned.
No,
We got some sources. We'll see.
we'll see. We'll see. It's years though. Years. Years. There's possibly legal proceedings that have to happen, but it's years down the road. But that's where we're heading with our interview series. I thought Justin Bieber was great. We're working on some other founders right now. Would love to have them on. Hey, people, if there's someone out there that you'd like to hear that can bring some insight to crypto in a good, positive way, we'd love to talk to them.
Yeah, I
But I
think
have nothing
too.
else, Ben.
Yeah, not just founders. I want to get some market commentators, some traders, some managers on here. I think that'd be more interesting to a lot of people. People like talking about markets. Some people like technology, obviously, but I think hitting both is really good. And I think that'd be cool too. So hopefully we can make some progress on that front.
That sounds great, man.
Cool. Well, sounds good. Thanks for watching, everyone. It's a good week. Stay safe out there. Don't get hacked. None of this was financial advice. Don't listen to us. We're idiots. But we're happy you tuned in. Thanks for joining.
Yes, we're happy you tuned in.
Episode 6. Grant Tonto.
We'll see you later.
See you later.
See you later, buddy.